Bonjour, I'm Erin, your independent bond cook consultant. Welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making a beautiful balsamic chicken sausage and greens pizza. It's January, Friday night, it's snowing, it's cold outside, so what better than to stay home, make some pizza, and watch a movie. I don't have to worry about how long the takeout guy is going to take or the delivery guy, and I don't have to change out of my sweatpants if I want to. So let's get started. I'm going to be using our French Pantry pizza mix. A bag of this is $10 and I buy it by bulk because the flavor is so good. It has herb infused in the mix. Really tasty. It comes with a packet of yeast right in there. All you need to add is olive oil and milk. I've started by heating up 1 cup of milk. The recipe calls for whole milk, but you can really use any type of milk you have, and 1/3 of a cup of olive oil. You want to use a thermometer, a food thermometer if you have one, to heat that between 110 and 115 degrees. If you get hotter than that, you will kill your yeast, so you want to be careful. If you don't have a food thermometer, just heat it up slowly, and you want it to a temperature of like a warm bath. You don't want it so hot that you couldn't bathe in it, but obviously we're not doing that today, right? No, of course not. I already have my milk heated up. I'm going to pour the contents of my mix bag right in there. And this makes 2 regular sized pizzas. I'm going to cut up my yeast with my kitchen shears. Pour that in. Here is my milk and olive oil. I'm going to pour that right in my bowl. It smells amazing already. I am just using a regular olive oil. If you want to add even more flavor, you could try adding one of our French Pantry olive oil blends, like the herbes de Provence, the Tuscan herb oil, basil oil, garlic oil. They would all be really nice. So now I'm just taking a spoon or a spatula and I'm mixing this by hand for a little bit. If you have a KitchenAid or a mixer with a dough hook, go ahead and use that. And we're going to mix for 5 minutes. If you don't have that, go ahead and turn your dough onto your roll pat mat so the dough doesn't stick on here, and just work it by hand. But I'm going to put mine, hook it up to my mixer, get my dough hook on, and I'm going to let that mix for about 5 minutes. After it's done mixing, I'm going to oil my bowl so the dough doesn't get stuck to it, and let it rise for about an hour. I'm going to cover it either with your little octagonal bond mat or some plastic wrap so we can trap that dough in, trap the nice warm air in there. If you have a nice warm spot in your house, go ahead and put your mixing bowl there because we want your dough to double in size. So I'll come back and talk you through the rest of the pizza after this dough is rested for an hour. So our dough has been rising for about an hour. As you can see, it's almost doubled in size. I have 1 big dough ball, and remember, I'm going to make 2 regular sized pizzas out of this. Or you can make, of course, 4 smaller pizzas, whatever you want to do today. While that dough was rising, I shredded my cheese, and I cooked up some chicken sausage and some greens. So I used a pre-cooked chicken sausage. I put that in the pan with my Tuscan herb oil blend, and I cooked that for 3 or 4 minutes. It sliced up the sausage, and then after a few minutes, I put in 4 big handfuls of greens, and you can see how much that cooks down. 4 big handfuls of greens. I used a mix of baby spinach and baby arugula, and I used a handful of fresh basil, and that's really nice if you have it too. And as it was finishing, I added a drizzle of the citrus spice balsamic vinegar from the French Pantry line. The first time I got the citrus spice vinegar, I didn't really know what to do with it, but I found out it's really beautiful with Greek and Italian flavors. I like to use it in a lot of dishes with tomatoes and even on Brussels sprouts. It might be my favorite of the balsamic. So I just added a drizzle of that in. I've got my roll pat mat set out so I can roll out my dough on a non-stick surface. It's sticky on the back side so it doesn't move on my counters. but my dough doesn't stick to it. I'm going to cut that ball in half. And I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to shaping my pizzas. I like kind of that rustic finish, and you can choose to bake your pizza on several different things in our Bon Cook line. We have the silpain mats. So if you're a bread baker, you like really extra crispy crust, this is for you. You can't use runny batters like most cookies wouldn't work on here, but thicker crusts like doughs like bread work well. Just your regular Bon mat, it's a great non-stick surface. I use this all the time. Or even a flexi flat will work great. So whatever you have on hand, these all work for pizzas. I've got my Beechwood rolling pin, which is naturally non-stick, and I'm just going to start rolling my dough. And I'm not going to add any extra flour or anything here. I heard once on a TV show that said the more irregular shape your pizza, the fancier it is. So, you know, I just go with that. I don't get hung up having it perfect. This one looks a little funnier maybe than usual, but that's okay. I'm going to transfer that to my Bon mat, and usually when I get it on there, I kind of just spread it around with my hands a little bit. You can even take your rolling pin right on there if you'd like a thicker crust. Roll it along there. I like mine slightly thinner. Okay, so I've got that spread out. My oven's already preheated to 450 degrees. I'm going to take a fork and move along and poke. This is going to help prevent any big bubbles in the crust. Take that fork along. Okay, there we go. And my top secret thing I like to do, it's not really a secret, but I always take a little olive oil and brush it along the edges. This pizza you could do with a white sauce, you could do with just olive oil brushed on the whole pizza, or you can use a red pizza sauce. And of course you can make your pizza sauce, or you can buy some from the store, and that's what I did today. I just usually like to look at the labels and find one without a lot of added sugar. Because pasta sauces, pizza sauces sometimes can be surprising how much added sugar they can put in those. And of course I used my pastry brush, really handy tool for when you're making pizzas. Got my olive oil on my crust. My next secret is my French Pantry lavender salt. Lavender salt might not sound like a pizza thing, but it has this nice herbal flavor, and I kind of just scatter some of that along the very edges before I put my pizza sauce on. So I'm going to spoon on my pizza sauce, and I'm going to take that brush, I'm going to spread the pizza sauce on. I use this brush all the time for spreading oil in my cookware, spreading sauces just like I'm doing right now, but you know, egg wash on dough, you name it. And again, the sauce doesn't have to be perfect. And we're just going to add so much flavor with our French Pantry items here that we don't need a lot of toppings, and we're not going to put a lot of cheese. You can put a little cheese on the here. Some people like to put their cheese underneath the toppings. Some people like to put it on top. You know what? I think either one works fine. But we're going to put a little cheese on right now. And that's really not a heavy version of cheese, which is just fine. Try and eat healthier. And so I'm going to spread some of my chicken sausage. And you can use your fingers, obviously, if it's hot, you want to be careful. And like I said, I did 4 big hands of the greens. I almost wish I would have done another one because it's amazing how much it cooks down. But you will need to take your hands and spread that out. And so I'm going to just judge that a little bit after I'm off camera. And I'm going to bake this for about 15 minutes at 450 degrees. When it's all done and out of the oven, I'm going to do a little drizzle of that balsamic again. So again, I'm using the citrus spice balsamic, but our traditional dark balsamic, of course, is really versatile and it would work really nice in that dish. So got that spread out. And we're just going to add a little pepper. Got my Malabar pepper, my like pepper grinder. I love a little pepper and a little more lavender salt on top. And all I have to do is bake, and I'm going to repeat with the second version. And I cook both my pizzas at the same time. Usually I switch positions about halfway through in my oven. You might not have to in yours. But I hope I inspired you to try your own pizza. Again, the French Pantry pizza mix is so good. I love all the herbal flavors, and my family loves it too. I hope you have fun the next time you're in the kitchen. Merci, and thanks for watching.